Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Calm down and get your feet again at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday evening. Hope you've all had a great week. And I hope that we have properly prepared you for the beginning of next week. It is going to be 104 plus every single day of next week. And you know what? Unlike previous years, I'm just not suffering like I was. I have, knock on wood, I've had no AC issues here at the house. And at the store. I mean, it's still hot because I'm on the top floor and one of the ACs doesn't work, but the main customer area is okay. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Like I said, even with the rain, it rained pretty heavy here for enough time for me to take a look at my roof and see, oh shit, didn't happen. I had the buckets ready, came in the next morning, water free. Didn't have the leaks where I'm at right now. I'm somehow living a charmed life. This has been a good week. I had a good show last night. For those of you who did not get a chance to watch last night's Saturday Night Live, it was a pretty interesting show. I rewatched it today, and I'm pretty happy with it. So if you have not watched it, I you know how I love my thumbnails. I love my thumbnails, and thought the thumbnail was pretty good. Didn't talk as much wrestling as I wanted to. We talked about it technically with our opening guest, but we didn't go into the match by match breakdown because I kind of went over. Mr. X, I'm sorry, was only supposed to be on for 20 minutes. It ended up being almost an hour. So, which is good because, like I said, means when the conversation goes over, that means I'm feeling pretty comfortable about how the conversation is going. When you see me wanting to cut shit short, that's when I'm like, oh, this was a mistake. Nah, last night was good. We went over an hour, so I was happy with that. So, yeah, we didn't talk Money in the Bank as much as I was going to, but I think we covered it all. So, and last but not least.
Hey, everybody.
Go ahead.
I'm actually going for my PC tonight because I was smack in the middle of getting something kind of tied up on here. So, I mean, you might have to kind of like tolerate me a little bit on my PC tonight.
Well, hopefully we don't hear and like I said, knock on wood, I don't hear any rhythmic static. So far, so good. Mm-hmm. All right. I still have not got the notification that I'm alive, so I'll kind of like stall for a little bit.
On Twitter, so I mean.
Yeah, saw it on Twitter, but our YouTube subscribers, they get it, like I said, sometimes they get it after the damn show. So to let as many of you jump on Omega Swiper, I don't even know why I hit your name. If you thought Open Panel was bad with me before, I'm ready to discuss the genius of all you do and watch the musical. Nah, that wasn't why the movie wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but anyway. I may or may not. I don't know. To be honest with you, since we are going to be running out of theater here, I might just go on the night of or the Saturday of. I'm in no rush to see it. And that's not knocking it. I'm just not, I'm not like over the moon. Like, damn, the difference between July 7th and July 11th for me is not, there's really nothing you can spoil about it for me. There's really nothing you can do ahead of time for it to ruin it for me. I am not in a rush to see it. I'm going to see it as soon as I can, but I'm not like, oh my God, if I don't see it on the 7th. And no, I'm in a rush to get past the conversation that is going to happen on July 11th and 12th. And whenever anybody sees this movie, I am ready to shut out the rest of the world because I know I'm going to have that stomach turning 3 or 4 days about people, writing the words hope and optimistic and joy on their hands because they don't know what the fuck they mean. And they'll try to apply them, whether they apply or not to this Superman. And then they'll take the words that they wrote down in their hands, and they'll want to come smack every other Superman type fan over the head for about 3 or 4 days. That'll last until the weekend. And then as we get closer to the Fantastic Four, it'll be a lot easier to talk about Superman with
well, sir, I mean, and see with that segment of the fandom also, you notice there is kind of a pattern where it's like, whenever like a new thing like this comes out, they'll for them like trying to like trying to like drop trow on like with fans of Zack Snyder stuff. It's like they last about a week and then they go back to like they basically forget the last thing came out and then they go back to like, oh, now we're just belly aching that the previous version exists so people like it. But
it's disingenuous. Like I said, nobody's seen this movie yet. You're judging by a trailer, and I think Alex said not. I'm just going to say lying. I'm going to just say outright lying because if you're being honest, just from the trailer alone, there's more aspects of the previous version of Superman in that than anybody's going to want to admit. They won't admit that. They're just going to stick with this, the aluminum foil Superman from their childhood. And I gotta say, listen, I appreciate that you guys had a childhood. I really do. I had a childhood. I'm pretty sure Brad had a childhood. Pretty sure the chat had a childhood. But as an experiential event, as far as going to the movies goes, give a fuck about your childhood. Right? Your childhood experience, my childhood experience means nothing to you. Your childhood experience means nothing to me. It means something to you, and that's great. That's great. But under no circumstances do I expect to relive my childhood at the expense of modern storytelling. That's great. I had a childhood. That's wonderful. Me and the family went to go see Superman 2 in the theaters. We were happy, but by no means do I roll into 2025 with that warm, fuzzy feeling thing. That's it. That's the only way we can do it now. So my childhood should mean nothing to you. And rest assured, yours in the context of preference in movies, yours doesn't mean anything to me, and that's the way it should be.
Well, see, one thing I'm particularly interested in seeing the discourse around is because there was all the, the hand wringing and such about the destruction, in Man of Steel, and this trailer we clearly see there's a whole row of skyscrapers falling over.
Yeah, guys, guys, don't tag me. Don't tag me in that post anymore.
I really
tagging me.
I just want to see it. I just want to see the same crowd just like go.
Why? I don't want to acknowledge why. See, they live by that. They live by acknowledging them. They live for the interaction that there's nothing there. Of course there's going to be wide scale destruction in a Superman movie. Every Superman movie has had it. Every Superman movie has had it. So why am I'm not going to even acknowledge that these clowns exist.
No, that I'm like, fuck the high road. I want to see this unfold.
Then you're in it. Why are you in it for a movie? Because to me, that's the wrong reason to be. That's not entertainment anymore. That's not entertainment. You're no longer being entertained. You're just. I'm not here for a fight. I can go out and beat somebody's ass if I want to engage in that. Why am I going to do that?
I didn't say I'm engaging that. I'm just gonna sit back and watch it.
Don't even watch. You're ruining. You could go ahead and ruin your day. Let these people ruin your day. I'm not going to. Why do I think Battlina is flopping? I saw this on a couple of other things.
I think flopping is pretty. It's a pretty stringent way to. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't even say it's flopping. It's just it's doing. I think it's doing about as well as you could expect it to do as a spin-off on a character we haven't seen before.
If you read my review or if you watched my review and you got a family, if you got youngings,
yeah.
I helped kill this movie because you best not take them to that
that's true,
shit.
yeah.
So, you know, this is not. If you had Lilo and the blue Smurf, whatever the fuck that is, if you had that, and you had Ballerina, and you have a family, and you could afford to go to the movies, I'm sorry, you will probably get child protective services sent to your house if you took them to one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the stuff you described to me about like what you were able to see. You know,
yeah, but see, that was back in the 80s. You know, these, you know, we've gotten softer as the generations go. Come on. We had to refine Batman to make it digestible for kids in the 90s. This is not the same generation I grew up with. So, but no, to be honest with you, and I said this a couple of days ago before we knew it, people like to think that John Wick was this huge, massive, you know, whatever. It made good money.
And you're talking about the first one.
All of them, because it took a while for it to get to 400 million. It hasn't broken 500 million, has it? I think the highest one is what, 480?
The last one did 440.
Okay.
Which is really good, you know, for this.
Really good, but you're building a franchise off of that. You're building a franchise off of something whose highest movie hasn't even broke half a billion yet. Not just forget about a billion, half a billion. So, and you're taking, you know, yeah, he's in it, but you pretty much know that he's not the movie. He's not the star of the movie. I think a lot of people weren't convinced that Ana de Armas is if they saw it, they would, you know, that would dispel that. But you're talking about getting people to go to the movies and figure that out. I think a lot of things, man. I don't know if you make an $85 million movie and you make 51 million with the money that, like I said, you're not greenlighting Ballerina without the back end money. And whereas the theatrical, so the 81 million, or the 51 million that it made, the percentage they get from that, they get, you know, we've already gone over the numbers. Once in about 30 days or so, and we're gonna watch party of this one. And in about 30 days, I'd say 30 days, the money that they get from PVOD and everything else is high yield. They get everything. They get almost, I think it's like 75%. 75. They go from making 35% off of a $10 to $14 ticket to 78% of a $29 PVOD. So, and Lionsgate sells their stuff. They're not a streamer. They sell their stuff. I think so. I don't know anymore what bomb means. I think we're using 1992 terms when it comes to bomb, because we got people who, you know, I guess they have Wizards caps on and they can be like, well, this costs this much. It's supposed to be this kind of, we don't know, dude. The lady who sent me the stuff for the marketing department that sent me the stuff for this last movie. Well, I asked her, without giving me numbers, what's the or when you see people guesstimating on these production budgets and these advertising budget, how close are they? And she started laughing. She didn't give me a number. She just started laughing. No, period. When people try to guess how much it costs to market a movie, she's like, it's almost never right. So I don't know what a bomb is, but once again, do we stop? Am I stop? Does this mean I stop counting the money today?
Well, go back a little bit. So was this recently you had this conversation, or?
Yeah, it was when I was tracking my package.
Okay.
Yeah. What we're gonna and the response is like, where do these people get the information from? Nobody can ever tell you exactly who told you how much a money has been spent on a budget. So it's
now, when she said that, is like, did she indicate whether when people talk about the expenditures that's always way off? Is like, did she give any indication whether whether it's like always way off, like on the high side or the low side, or
it's usually over? People are usually guessing over by a lot because you can calculate. And by the way, the studio generally, whoever funded this movie, and if you watch Ballerina, you'll see a shitload of guys that are not stars, they're not on the set, but they are part of the finance companies that bankroll these movies. They paid for all that anyway. All that's coins. The posters I showed you the other night, Lionsgate didn't foot that bill. You know, the studio never does. It's hilarious. But
it's kind of funny you say that too, because Tim Miller, he was being interviewed recently about his Netflix series, and he talked a little bit about Terminator Dark Fate, which he that bombed theatrically, but he mentioned
that's not hard to want that one, Bob. That it was a bad movie. Ballerina was a good movie.
but that aside, he he talked about it didn't perform theatrically, but and again, I can never save my life. I think it's business wise, in the red is losing money, in the black means you're a profit.
Red is losing. Trust me, red is losing. Okay, all right, Brett. To remember this. What color is your blood?
Is bleeding. Yeah. So
there you go. So that's where the term comes from.
Either means you're bleeding. Okay.
Yeah.
So he said, Terminator. He said, I lost money in theaters, but now we're 6 years removed. But he said, now he said it's in the black. So somewhere along the line, it finally turned a profit. Again, that goes to what you're saying about they don't stop counting the money until it stops coming in.
PBOD, almost always it's PBOD, and then when you see a lot of these movies, like say if you're watching HBO Max and you got a favorite movie on HBO Max, right? You watch it and then wait a minute, like for me, where did Blade Runner 2049 go? Yeah. That's literally a Warner Brothers distributed movie. Where's my fucking brand? Granted, I have hard copy and everything else, but every now and then I like to throw up Max and watch it if it's on there. It was gone for a while. And I found out why, because they had made a deal with Netflix. So that movie is making money years and years and years after that shit was, lost its money. So it happens. But yeah, when it comes to bombing, I don't know. It seems like the rules change for these movies. I mean, people want to say Ballerina bombed. All right, like I said, we're talking like it's like the 90s where once a movie leaves the theater, and I know Fourth doesn't agree with how movies pull in their revenue these days, that doesn't make it not real. I mean, that's how they do it. Ballerina, these movies don't get greenlit without that back end revenue being considered. There's no movie out there, unless it's an MCU movie or a super blockbuster movie that you have a good IP for. But if it's one of these movies that's like
Monkey Man, or if it's
Monkey Man, John Wick, if it's something that makes less than $500 million, then you can rest assured that movie probably didn't get pushed forward without a plan to make at least a good percentage of that money back on PVOD, or in Sony's case, they don't care, because before the movie's even made, Madam Web was already being hoarded around to other streamers before Madam Web even shot the first scene. So they don't greenlight these movies unless they have a plan all the way through. They're not like fanboys are like, oh wow, it dropped 69% the next week. Oh my God. The accountants are like, so fucking what? You know how long this movie is going to be on PVOD for $29 a pop? And then guess what? Even if we have a streamer, remember some of these streamers can sell it before it gets to theirs and have it on theirs for a month, and then it premieres on their streamer, because they get to keep it. It's a legacy project. They get to keep it on their streamer for as long as they want to.
And see, sometimes I'm kind of wondering about that too, and maybe we might see this kind of start changing, now with studios having their own streamers and with PVOD being such a revenue driver. But if with all of that, with all those kind of like with all those pillars in place, I don't want to say that. I mean, that doesn't make like the theatrical box office irrelevant, but doesn't that also kind of indicate that if something is like trying to like set up a franchise, doesn't that kind of almost make like if it doesn't perform the way we want it to in theaters, but we're going to make the money anyway, on the secondary revenue generator, I mean, couldn't they theoretically like green light further things out of that from that?
It depends on what their financiers want to do. It depends on what the people are putting up the money want to do. How quickly do they want their money back? Do they want first dollar back? Or are there guaranteed? Some of these big movies have guaranteed first dollar, like a Nolan movie. He gets paid before anybody else does, or a Tom Cruise. It depends on the liability of the movie, and see who, if the person that put up the money, like say Legendary, it's their job. They put up 75% of like the Dune movies, or a Harvey Weinstein or somebody like him who puts up the money. It all depends on how, what you promised them. If I promise you, hey, if you foot 75% of this bill, then we're going to make this amount of money. This is when you get your money immediately. If it's,
before somebody clips that out, it's like with Harvey Weinstein, it's like,
he's the one that comes to mind, but he's not anything to do with his personal stuff. But if you're a group like that who wants first dollar, or if you said it all depends on the business arrangement you made, because they're going to want their money back at some point. What did you tell them when you said we want you to fund this, right? Okay, so you're going to get this percentage of your money from the first dollar, and you're going to get this money from distribution. We'll cut you in on distribution, and then you're going to get another percentage off of PVOD. You know, it all depends, because once again, as it gets closer to PVOD, you cut out the box office 35%. So for every dollar that you're getting back, it's less tax on your dollar as you get it closer to what you're doing. So if you're giving 35% to the theaters, that flips when it gets to PVOD. And right now, studios know that not everybody can go to the movies. You know, sometimes a night, you know, these movies, the reason why PVOD is doing so well is because it's convenient. Yeah. It's convenient, especially if you got kids. So $29 per unit per household. Yeah. That may not sound like a lot of money, but when you figure that a lot of these guys are the owners, they're the stakeholders in these PVOD firms, they're cutting out 35% and they're adding on 35%. So I'm a dummy and I can figure out that math works in their favor. So
one also, like, you know, the other kind of added thing to the PVOD side of it is also, you know, with the kind of TVs and the home systems we have now, it's like it's easier and easier to kind of like make it feel like a movie theater inside your living room, you know, that it would have been like 30 years ago.
Thank you.
So that kind of adds to that. It adds to like we can almost like recreate the theater experience, you know, in your own house if you've got like enough. You know, a lot of people do now got smart TVs, or they got flat screens or what have you.
And your kids don't have those standards. So your 4-year-old and your 5-year-old, I mean, dude, if I had a 70-inch screen when I was a kid, that would have blown my mind. As it was, the little raggedy TV that I had blew my mind. Yeah. But if you're a little kid and you haven't gotten to that movie going appreciation that like we do, then you throw Lilo and Stitch, or you throw one of these movies up on your 70-incher or a projection screen. Projectors are cheap now. I've seen families on my way home projecting movies with their phone, hooked up the projector, bam, they got the popcorn out, you know, during September watching a movie. And then, you know, so there's a lot of different ways. Now, as you get older and you want the IMAX, you want the surround sound, the Dolby, all that stuff, that's different. But when you got a family of 4 and you're just trying to entertain them, it's really expensive to do. So, you know, you get them set up on that, and then you turn around and then you have your streaming. So if you are the streamer, now you got this movie that had a theatrical run and it's on your streamer, and that's just one more reason to keep you subscribed. So there are advantages that people just conveniently leave out when they say something bombs. Most fans like us probably will never be able to comprehend what a bomb is like that, because we don't know the math. We don't know the math. You know, sometimes you find out there's been side deals made with somebody. There's been merchandise placements that we didn't know about. But to this day, we don't know the details of Man of Steel's merchandise placement, and all we know that it was pretty big. Mm-hmm. But we don't know the details of that. But you got people, you know, that will roll around saying, "Well, wasn't this." Well, you know, so yeah.
That's why I'd really be interested, like, you know, like 2 DC movies in particular. I'd really be interested to know that like the financials of would be Zack Snyder's Justice League and The Flash. I'll throw a third one there, Black Adam too. Those are the 3 I'd really want to see the behind the curtain on the most.
People like to make fun of Black Adam, but people who can count and whose job it is to count Black Adam's money, they didn't do too much laughing.
No.
So I mean, like I said, it's fun to have a fan conversation, but just know where our knowledge ends and where theirs begins. It's not, we aren't the same. The people who greenlight this and the people who gather the money to make these movies and the people who collect these movies, we aren't them. We're not even in their class. So it's a fun conversation to have, but understand where we're at here. Thank you, Larry, for gifting me 5 memberships. Thanks.
Yeah, those are the 3, like, because those are the guys that kind of have had the most kind of discussion and debate and back and forth around their performances, you know, and with Zack Snyder's Justice League, obviously box office, that's not a part of that equation, but still, it's like those 3, those are the ones I'd be most curious, like, you know, 5 years or so removed from like the release of each one of them, like see someone behind the scenes, like, you know, like say like what William said about, he was talking to the one like financier or middle management or where it was the and say it's like, oh no, it's like people labeled this a bomb, but like, no, this actually did pretty well for us. It's like, I'd really
the problem with Zack Snyder's Justice League is that you had an adversarial process with the people in charge, so that you were never going to get any truth from them. B, people just didn't want to comprehend how that type of streaming attraction works. If you have an IP like a DCIP, you're checking for associated content. You're checking for what did that person click on, and that's just as all content on streaming, by the way, when you bring something in to justify making the money on it. So if I bring something and I pay a lot of money, if I'm a net, I pay a lot of money to put in production, people are like, oh my god, they spent so much money, fanboys with no money in the game, or telling, or flipping shits over it. But okay, I bring this expensive thing in here. So say I'm gonna just give me any, I'm gonna let you give me any superhero.
I'm
Superman. All right, so I'm Warner Brothers. I'm HBO Max. I produce something that goes to streaming. All right, ends up in streaming. Not only am I tracking what you're watching, if you watched it or not, how long you stayed, if you stayed through the entire movie, all that. That's it. We have all that. After it's over, did you click on other things? Did you go watch Donner's Superman? Did your kids, were your kids watching it with you? Guess what? If I know your demographic, because I do, because you pay your bill and I got all that information, and I see kitty Superman cartoons, that's telling me either you're watching them, or there's a good chance that you got a kid. So there's another marketing tidbit I know about your household right now. Okay. All that associated content. So I'm clicking on the Superman stuff. Are they clicking on the Justice League stuff? Are they clicking on, if you're clicking on Superman, guess what? The way I roll my streaming platform out to you, I'm going to make sure you see Batman on there. What are you watching? Are you watching 1989 Batman? Are you watching all the Batman? Because if you're consuming a lot of this after you watch this initial movie, that tells me that there's value in that IP.
Yeah.
That tells me that's value in that IP, and that when I start spending money on that IP, that's value, because here's the thing. If I can keep you engaged, I can keep you subscribed. And the most important thing for a streamer, growth is important. Growth is great in any business, no matter what you do. Growth is great. Retention.
Exactly. I knew you were going to use that word.
Retention is the lifeblood of these guys, because with that retention, allows them to go back to financiers, people who finance them and lend them money and put money into projects. That financial stability lets them tell their stockholders, everybody, that we are holding the line, and every now and then we're going to grow. You want to drop. That's the problem. But if you have you've had 2 million subscribers a month, I'm just throwing it out there, and you're steady, you're either keeping that or you're steady growing, that's a stable financial base that you can go to everybody who's investing in you and say, we're stable, we're a good bet. And that if you can keep if you can retain subscribers, you can retain stockholders. That allows your price to jump up. So if you got something like a Squid Game or something like that, or something that's a phenomenon that puts people in there, that increases the value of your company. So if your stock goes from $25 a share to $30 a share based on that kind of stability and that kind of incremental rise, you just valued your company. Your company just jumped up in value more than any ticket sale could ever give you. And yeah, so you spent $300 million on something like that. But look at the traffic it gave you. Let's say The Rock. Red One was fucking garbage, right? Okay. But here's the thing though. It did what they needed it to do, because they said, okay, what other Rock things do we have or can we use? What genre of movie are you in? It's like, okay, I got a Brad head. I got a Kung Fu head, right? Yeah. Brad jumps on there and he's watching the latest, greatest Kung Fu thing. But you know what? Brad jumped around to every fucking Kung Fu thing that I had on here. I have a chance to keep Brad if periodically I can either funnel Brad Kung Fu content, or I can create new content for Brad. It's worth it collectively because I keep Brad and people like him on board with me. It's when you leave, it's when it hurts. But if I can keep you to stay, $400 is a drop in a bucket when you're talking about that.
Like Red One's kind of an example, because that kind of had this reputation. By the way, the comment we read. So yeah, Ballerina, we both very much dug it. We loved it.
Yeah, we don't. I don't even know what the actual kill count. I know it's a lot.
It's in the triple digits for damn sure.
I know it's a lot. Well, yeah, that just happens in the village. The village alone is that village is
big
dead.
time.
So.
But with Red One, that's kind of an example because that had this reputation for just being this big theatrical flop, and then Amazon themselves, and that was that came out I think like first weekend of November last year, and then they had it on Amazon just by early December. Like they wanted to have it by Christmas. Obviously.
Yeah, that was the entire intent, by the way, for not to end up there. That was the entire mission. So
and then when it got there, Amazon themselves came out and said, yeah, this did whatever number they gave. I forget the specifics, but they just said it did phenomenal for us on Amazon. So I mean, it's an Amazon movie. Didn't kill it theatrically, but it killed it for them on their home theater.
And Amazon only did that. Amazon only does that sometimes, either to get movies in Academy. That wasn't one of them in consideration, or to because they want to keep a good relationship with theaters to the point where, hey, we gave you this because there is going to be something that we do want to put in theaters, that we do want maximum exposure, and we want you in the good with us when we do. But yeah, when it comes to Amazon, Amazon spent 300 whatever million or some $100 million on that. Amazon's $1 trillion company that survives, lives, and dies on your traffic to their website. If you got on the website, there's a good chance it's better than a commercial. There's a good chance if 25% of the people that jump on Amazon to watch a movie buy something from Amazon, anything from Amazon, if 25% of the traffic that jumped on there that was brought there, that's it. That's mission accomplished. They did more than a Super Bowl commercial would do for them. They not only controlled the traffic, but they got all the data they needed to. Because if you're on their site, you start that clicking, they start recording. If you're clicking, they're recording all that data. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, you jump into Amazon and wow, Brad, you want a Kung Fu Panda doll. Wow, because you clicked on Kung Fu Panda doll.
It'd be interesting to see them kind of like the algorithm on me on Amazon, because you look at my Amazon, what I've gotten on my Amazon, movies and shows like Q. It's like that definitely skews in that direction for sure. So what else? They
know, dude. I know Amazon is spying on me. They all of them. They take my data and they start throwing me shit. And guess what? They're really good at it because I end up buying the shit.
Yeah.
You don't know how many times I jump on Amazon and say, William, maybe you would be, you got to know me on a first name basis. We're Mr. Robot. William, we thought you'd be interested in these. I'm like, well, leave me the fuck. Oh, fuck.
Well, and
click.
And that's always, the companies tracking your, spending patterns or whatever. It's always been portrayed as, that tends to be portrayed like a very nefarious light. And yes, I've never really seen
it. Makes it easy for me.
Exactly. Because they're that's
how I'm getting my dude. They know I ordered some crypto stuff from a third party. They got the crypto shit lined up for me. Not even ready to sell, by the way. They're July whatever is when they're gonna give it to me, or when they're gonna allow me to buy it. But they know I wanted it. They got it all lined up for me, and I'm gonna just go click.
Yeah,
and they got discounts and stuff, and it's easy. But that's so when you say somebody spent the money on something, it was too much. Before you say that, you have to know what their mission was and what their return on it was.
Yeah.
There's things called loss leaders that, that I'll go out or for Batman Day, I went out and spent $50 to get, before my button maker was making $50 with Batman logos on them and Superman. It's all that, I do that all the time. I may print out posters that cost me money. Right.
Yep.
But what did that traffic do for me when they got in? That's what you got to understand.
And that's what I'm going to make it a point after read this real quick, but I don't think it's a bomb. I don't think it's going to bomb at all.
Nah, I don't think that it was going to bomb.
That's no.
Well, okay, Hunter Iggy, I'm gonna return this with a question for you. And no one's been able to answer this question. When is the last MCU A-lister to bomb? And when I say bomb, I'm talking about below expectations. None of the Thor movies, as much as I fucking hate those movies, none of those were bombs. What A-list, by their own definition, when you know who the A-listers are, Fantastic Four, whether people want to believe it or not, it's an A-lister. Not only is it an A-lister, it's the A-lister they would have started with had they owned the character in 2008. That and Spider-Man. So to answer your question, for everybody who thinks FF has a chance to bomb, I pose the question to any of you: what A-list Marvel movie has bombed? You have the rest of your life to come up with the answer because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, anyway, kind of going back to what we were saying a minute ago. Yeah, again, that's why those among like recent DC movies, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Black Adam, and the Flash, those would be the ones I'd be the most interested. Like all that kind of comprehensive data you're talking. Those are the ones I'd want to see like behind the curtain on the most. And obviously, like you said, with ZSJL, I mean, it's is the spreadsheet would look different because with how it was released, but even with Black Adam and the Flash, then again they're post theatrical life, like everything you're saying, that speaks to
that means nothing to fanboys, but it means everything to somebody who's trying to be convinced into spending money.
Yeah, well, and even not only that, but also what we were talking about with the Flash, where Gunn maybe as we theorize, maybe using that as more of a pillar for what he's doing than people are necessarily expecting or think will be the case. Now we've said that, I mean, that the financials may be irrelevant on that if he's just like saying we're committed to what we're doing, and the Flash is a essential building block in that, but if there's like a lot of financial data on that we've not seen, i.e. post theatrical stuff, does that how much does that then make building off the Flash even more of a priority than what it already is?
No, because those are old numbers now. They're old numbers. If this was if this was recent numbers, then yeah, but you have to understand the circumstances in which he is making his movies and doing his thing are completely different than the ones that the Flash was released under. So those analytics would help if you were thinking about doing something with that particular project and seeing what drew there. But even then, once again, like I even say with Zack Snyder's Justice League, getting those numbers doesn't mean anything to me now, simply because we're talking about 4 or 5 year old numbers that don't hold up in 2025. So we would need to find out a way to collect new data to where, okay, I know this is still grabbing. Otherwise, whatever it did 2-3 years ago or 4 years ago or 5 years ago doesn't mean anything to me now because those ships have sailed. I would need to find a way to ascertain what kind of draw it was now. And the only way you can do that now is to look at what numbers it may be drawing now. You may have to spark the conversation to get people thinking about it to see, so there's a lot of ways you can do it. But right now, yeah, what Flash and Black Adam did, as far as relevancy to like to today situation, they don't have any relevancy because the numbers are too old. And you would be spending new money with against old numbers. And that's dangerous. I'm a big fan of Archie comics, more specifically the horror brand. It's darker and more serious. I really like the first 2 seasons of Riverdale, so I decided to make a fan-aided movie. All right, cool. Congratulations, man. I might take a look at it. Send me a link. I tried to get into Riverdale. It wasn't a bad show. I got through 1 season and it just didn't hold me. Not because it was awful. It's just I just had so much other shit to watch. I'm presenting something. Yeah, that's probably how I'll end up doing. And we don't know how well a poor box office performance does on VOD. That's a good point. But you know who does know? The people who are collecting the money. And you can tell that they feel good about this because, like I said, they'll rush things, and like you'll have something that, like I said, what's that movie? I had the movie of the Dracula movie. What's her face? The Dracula movie. They had a PVOD number on that while it was still in the theater before it finished its first week. So the odds are so much in their favor that they have rigged that system to where they're going to make money off of it. They have insulated themselves to the point where they get so much of the percentage back on that, they can't really lose. Because you're eliminating 35% that the box office gets. So that's gone. You own the platform, or you're partnered with the owner of the platform. So you're getting, if it's your movie, you're getting the lion's share. You've cut out so many people at the table that it's almost, you can't lose. You may not make as much as you want to, and you may be using the PVOD and the third markets to make it to pad the losses. But in most cases, with people not going to the theaters as much as they were then, they know they're tracking these numbers. They know, they do their surveys, because you got a lot of people who, I'll give you a free popcorn. You fill out the survey. I just had one the other day when we were at Regal. Are you planning to how often do you go to the movies? I mean, they give you all kinds of information. Most people tell the truth on those things, but I think that their data analytics people know exactly where they want to be when it comes to PVOD. Once again, we don't know, but you look at their patterns speak loudly. William, did you see the recent Wall Street Journal article where they admit to letting people think it was aliens when it was really our stealth technology through the 80s nuclear stuff? Oh, yeah, of course. Because of what they were doing. You have to realize we had an enemy in the Russians that had satellites flying over all of our situations. You were never going to be able to prove that any of these were not aliens because you were never going to have access to it. But did I want every Tom, Dick, and Harry hanging around Area 51 digging up, stuff and finding out about the SR-71 program, finding out about the U-2 spy program, finding out about a myriad of things that probably end up, as somebody who's been in a conflict theater, would like to make sure that those kind of secrets keep safe. If there's something flying over my head to protect me, I'd rather not have the enemy or just an average blogger knowing about it. So I'll give you something. Yeah, it's an alien. Sure. Now go find it. Oh, by the way, if you enter this properly, we'll shoot you. You go to Area 51 and there are signs, because if you go past Creech Air Force Base, where our shooting range, you drive past that stuff. And there are signs. There are signs, saying government stay off, and they'll fire a warning shot at you. So yeah, it's all
they don't fuck around when it comes to the Area 51 guys.
Yeah, I think they made the right decision because not everybody needs to know. Not everybody is equipped to know everything. So yeah, I'm glad that they had a bunch of people.
And actually, speaking of that, because we are coming up on a few weeks away from 4th of July, and I'm looking forward to I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, there's the Independence Day real time account or whatever it's called, where they do they do an hourly starting every July 1st or something. They do every hour they
do the count. Yeah, no, you brought this up last year. We saw this.
Where they tweet something that corresponds to an event in the movie.
Yeah,
I look forward to them doing that again, because that was really fun to follow along with.
I remember that. We brought that up when we watched that. We watched the original 1996. Yeah. I agree. There's money on the back end with BVOD, but I'm sure the studio would love to perform well in theater too. I don't think that they're romantically involved in that is what you think, Fourth. I think that they've gotten to the point where what's the bottom line? What's the total? What do we ultimately end up making? Because you say you perform well in theaters too, perform well enough to be notable on their streaming services. Yeah, everybody wants to be successful everywhere they're at. But when you're talking about finances, making the more money they make in the theater, the more percentage they have to hand out. Whereas, I can't really guess where they think success is. I'd have to know. If you're talking about keeping the lights on, paying bills, paying rent, paying actors, paying production costs, the ultimate number is the one that you really need to be paying attention on, because that's what you're judged by. You're not judged by the first 2 weeks of a movie. Fanboys do that. Pundits do that, but the people who actually have to pay for stuff, they don't stop counting the money until the money is being made. And yeah, it performing well in the theaters is a bonus, but that's part of the money. They're going to wait till the end. They're not going to do an autopsy while the person's still alive.
Saying they wanted to perform. Of course they wanted to perform. Because they want as much money as they can possibly get, and theaters are one way to get. So if they can get, if something can be $1 billion hit in theaters, then it's why not add that to whatever you get on the back end?
Yeah, and it's a hybrid organization. You're going to need. There are movies you want to keep the relationships, you want to keep the theater alive, so you have opportunity to make good money all over with Fantastic Four, with Superman, with Mission Impossible, with Jurassic Park. But for every one of those movies, there's 6 or 7 of them that they're not going to get that kind of screen time. They're not going to get that type of exposure. They're not going to get that type of push. But you want to push enough movies through the theatrical that you still keep them alive, because they are still your exhibitors. Now, there are some movies that go straight to VOD. We've seen them. But at the same time, you have to balance it. Not everything can go to VOD. Some things do have a better chance of making money in theaters. See, if like a Fantastic Four is going to make a ton of money in the theaters, and then it's going to make a ton of money on PVOD. But not every movie is going to be that. For every Fantastic Four, there's going to be what was the one from Universal, the Dracula one, the girl Angela or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? The one I had the T-shirts for, and literally while I'm handing out T-shirts, they're advertising the PVOD date.
Was that for last year?
Yeah.
You're talking about Nosferatu, are you?
No, not Nosferatu. The movie with the girl, with the ballerina, you know,
what? But not this weekend's ballerina.
No, not be a ballerina. She's a girl vampire. It's basically Dracula, but it's hold on. Somebody in the chat will know. I'm on a brain fart because my brain's fried right now.
Well, yeah, because the movie with the girl. That's more specific. Oh, is it Abigail? Is that what it was? Abigail.
Now, Abigail, they had the PVOD for Abigail before the movie was even released. I'm literally, I shit you not, handing out T-shirts and posters for Abigail the day they announced when Abigail was going to be on PVOD. They announced that the weekend it got released. So yeah, there's a plan in place. If they figure they can make a couple of bucks, keep distribution, keep things in the theater, and then use that. You know, a lot of people who are not going to the movies, they are still watching these trailers. They are still watching. You know, they're still watching the response from these movies from the people who do see them. So there is some benefit to putting movies in theaters. But there's also a huge benefit of doing. They got to diversify. I mean, you know, not every movie is going to be a blockbuster hit that you can bank on. So, let's see. Yeah, Tom Cruise is 63 years old, though. He in 7 years, Tom Cruise will not be the median demographic that theaters will need to hold on to make money. That's great. I mean, I love what Tom Cruise has done for the theaters, but it's like somebody, you know, a physical media person coming in and being a champion of physical media. I would love if we were still around, you know, and if we're coming back quicker. But the bottom line is we're catering to a generation of convenience. You know, that's great. I hope, I love what Tom Cruise is doing, but at the same time, Tom Cruise is a mega star. He's a mega draw in most cases. Most of these movies that get released will not have one of those. And so they'll have to depend on when Tom Cruise comes and says, I want to make a movie, that's all you have to say. They know where that money's coming from for the most part. They know where that distribution's coming from, and they know where they can make that money. When Brad comes and says, I want to make Kung Fu on the Beach, I have to have a plan from Brad to be like, okay, how are we going to make our money back on this? And I need some numbers from Brad's people that there's a following on PVOD. So Brad's going to have to bring the magic with him. But I'm not green lighting Kung Fu on the Beach without knowing that there's a safety net for me. If this movie crashes and burns, can I tuck it in there with other goofy Kung Fu movies to where, you know, somebody might purchase it for ad revenue and then throw it on there? Then I can make my money back. And then that all, you know what? And that projection also tells me how much I can spend on it too. So, yeah, I got to do more. I got to start doing members content. I got to figure out how it works. I don't have Vince with me anymore because he's doing some stuff, but I need to figure out how to get on that.
What's Vince been up to actually?
He just had some work stuff that he was. He no longer was available. Hello, Droga. Let's see. Let's see.
William, do you see Mission?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's William.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing, though. If A was outgoing management made that movie, bad management, incoming management inherited that movie. Its value for them, it made 270, actually made 370 something million. So
look it up. It did like 392. So it did less than 400 million, but that's pretty negligible.
And you also have to realize that
393,
what that did for them, and they've noted this, what that did for them online. And once again, so if I'm watching Black Adam, Am I watching? There's a lot of Dwayne Johnson stuff that most of these streamers have, and most of these streamers will pick up a movie like Black Adam. If they got 4 or 5 Rock movies on there, they got Jumanji or they got whatever on there, they can justify spending the money on that. You know why? Because they're going to feed you right into his other movies. And guess what? You might stick around. What's that R word I said? Retention. So, yeah, it made less than $400 under bad management and a very late advertising campaign that we literally got 24 hours before the movie hit. There was a lot of stuff with Black Adam. If Black Adam had been handled by better management, Black Adam could have been a smash hit. And I'm not just talking about how they marketed it, but how they built that movie. Had that movie, because guess what? Those guys that were running Warner Brothers, they weren't looking at the movie. They weren't looking at the dailies. The only thing that they did was tell The Rock no about using Cavill, but they couldn't have been watching the dailies. They weren't trying to make anything. And then when the new regime came over and basically, they were assessing the entire thing at that time. So I don't blame a lot of what Black Adam is. And I know like John Campbell's like, well, it shows you that the DCU needed to die because the biggest movie star. No, it doesn't. That's like saying Tom Cruise could save the mummy, and it didn't. If you have bad management, a lot of times you're going to have it's going to affect your success. If you have bad management, and that's what they had at the time.
Well, not only were they not marketing it properly, they were actively undermining their product in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if you don't have good leadership, it affects the product you're going to put out. So you could say what you want about the content of Black Adam. Everything that regime did and during the 7 years that they were in place affected the success of their movies. Black Adam wasn't a bad movie, but it was poorly marketed. The marketing was disjointed. By the time you got to Black Adam, most of your main heavy hitters, your A-listers that earn you the money, had been in the witness protection program. So not only, I don't care who the star is, if it's a Z-level character and Black Adam is a Z-level character, if it's a Z-level character and you haven't had the support of your A-listers up to that point, you really hurt yourself financially. So yeah, people like to throw out totals for certain movies, but I can throw out circumstances that had those circumstances not been there or better managed, that you probably add another 50, 60 to 100 million to that movie minimum. So it's unfortunate. The internet. It's the internet. To answer Anthony's question, William, why is it that fans always assume they know better than the studios that are making these movies? Two things. The internet, once again, you can't see our big balls because we're hiding behind a keyboard. All right. We are not in any boardroom. We are not in anything. We are guessing. So the internet is one thing. And you do have the instances where they have openly fucked up. And that's where the internet kind of infects that, because we think because one person mismanages or one group of people or one group of managers mismanagement that there's the guy behind the grassy knoll every time. And it's just not true. So a lot of this is built up in our online spaces because we can say stuff and never be held accountable for it. We don't run anything. We don't invest millions in anything. We can say stuff in a chamber that nobody who actually pushes those chips forward in a dealer room is ever going to hear or care about. So, but it's where it can build. It can build. It can go a life of its own here. But yeah, mainly the internet and B, when it is the internet, we tend to zero in on the fuck up and not the majority of people who actually make good movies, make movies all the time, make good decision makings. But yeah, we'll never be able to let go of those one or two that didn't. So yeah, that's why. Harvey Weinstein would never let cinema get this bad. I think it's time to forgive this man. This guy's going to probably die in prison. So, no. I saw Ballerina, fun movie. Good. Just skipping through somewhere. How you doing, Steven Ortega? So with these analytics, why is WC? Okay, I need a drop for this. I forgot about you last time, Forth, because when you have one of these are special nonsense. Okay, I'm gonna read it though. So with these analysts, why is WB the WPD. There is no WB. WB stocks
By the way,
in the gutter.
Their stock right now, I just looked, is at $9.82, which I mean, it's been like, I mean, they've been hovering between like $6 and 11 for like over a year now.
Why is Gilroy and others claiming streaming is costing Disney $1 billion? Analytics CBS. This, I really don't have to. I kind of don't have to respond to this fourth because it collapses under the weight of its own text, but I'm going to because you're a loyal watcher. Okay, first thing, WBD was a company that was formed with $43 billion of debt. That's like saying, I want you to run a race, but first, I need you. I'm going to put you in a casket, bury you 10 feet into the dirt, and I need you to dig out of that before you even start running. So the debt has put a drag on their stock because that debt has interest. Now, the second thing is revenue generating. We're not talking about just their movies, though, because like I said, the money that their movies would be making is negligible to the debt that they inherited and the type of revenue you would need to generate to drive that debt down. So the problem isn't necessarily the box office, because the box office is giving them their lowest yield. The problem with Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Discovery in general is that it was a company founded out of debt with no real way to manage that debt. So it really doesn't matter what, they need more content, and the box office is not necessarily relevant for them because their streaming service is profitable for them. That needs to expand, and there needs to be more on that. Their PVOD, all that, these things that give them revenue without them having to spend as much, that's the problem. I mean, the analytics, this is not and what you're saying is not an indictment on the analytics. The only analytic that you really kind of ignored, that 43 billion that they walked into, that negative. You ignore the fact that you know how much money you have to make to counter on an annual basis like that. So no, the analytics are right. The situation that they're in is overwhelming. That's the problem. And even to that point, the only thing that they really can do is get their debt down to they're never probably going to get out of debt under this ownership anyway. It's kind of like Netflix. You can have running debt and operational debt, but what needs to turn around is their revenue generating needs to pick up, because, okay, part of that debt is a devaluation of the company. If the company's valuation goes up, a lot of that debt can get absorbed. A lot of those people who creditors who, have that debt in their hands can give you different terms and more, better terms, interest rates, things like that. Breaking it up allows you to negotiate once you come down from 43 billion to maybe 28 billion, which I can't believe we're saying that's not a lot of money, but yeah. But that's what these guys are looking at. So no, you're looking at the wrong analytics when you're looking at the stock price. Well, the stock price, Superman could come in and do $1 billion. That's not going to necessarily affect their stock price. So those analytics don't necessarily apply like that, because there's other factors beyond a movie. You need volume. What you need from Superman, not just for the movie to do well. The movie could do well anywhere. It could be in the fucking box office for 25 days and go to PVOD. You need everything else connected to Superman, the licensing agreements, the toys, the volumes, the things that you can license out and sell with limited liability. Popcorn buckets, all those. You need those things to be making your money. And then PVOD, when it gets on PVOD and you get that 75 to 80 back, that's where your stockholders are like, okay, these guys are generating money. So it's a little bit more complex with that. But yeah, nice try.
And this is why also we talked about on here, like with what you said about they don't right now have like enough revenue streams to like make much of a dent in their debt. This is why we've talked about the idea of like limited licensing agreements, the idea of licensing IPs like DC, or like sections of IPs like of DC, like one in particular that's always people are talking about, is like that's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Yeah, and it's because it's profit. So and that's another thing with Warner Brothers is how much money are they making per what they're spending. So if you are the distributor, you're going to make your money. If you're the distributor, but if you get like what they did with Blade Runner 2049, you get Sony or Columbia to produce the movie, that's good for you. Like movies like Dune are good for them because other people fit the money.
They're doing the heavy lifting as far
they're
as
doing
like
the heavy lifting, and they're paying for the ad budget. So those are the things that they want to get themselves into. They just don't have enough right now. Now maybe that's gonna change with Superman. If Superman does well, now you're talking about, now we're talking about that leading into your streaming service, because guess what? You got something in a connected universe coming just less than a month later with Peacemaker. After Peacemaker, we start looking at Lanterns. After Lanterns, we start looking at so now you're you're not just revenue generating in a box office where you don't get all the money. You're revenue generating on your platforms and driving up your subscriptions and doing things like that. That when Warner Brothers stock jumped, you look at when their stock goes up, it's because the numbers come out about HBO Max. The numbers come out about certain things. Like the movies, they've had a good streak of the last 3 or 4 movies, right? But that's not what jumped us. The stock didn't do shit based on those. The stock jumped because that revenue coming from streaming is good money for them, and it's monthly money that you can report and be like, okay, we're pulling in 1.5 billion a year, a billion a month, right? On streaming. So say we did the math. If they got to 100 million, 150 million subscribers, right? Which is their goal. 150 million times a 16 bucks a unit a person. That's pretty good money. That's now you're talking about generating revenue that's value in the company. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but there's a reason why they put so much into these streaming platforms, because once it stabilizes, it gives them stable revenue. Movies are hit or miss, unfortunately. Not only are they hit or miss, but the returns, like I said, there's a lot of people sitting at that table wanting to eat before that prime rib gets to your mouth.
Well, Fourth has a solution right here. And Omega Spiper has another one. It's like it's either gonna be AI or Omega Spiper. They'll fix WB.
Yeah, if they can, dude, if AI ends up making money for them, I don't think they'll do it because we're just not ready for that yet.
By the way, how's it going, Aaron? She's got a couple here. William, Mr. X was a pretty cool movie. I'm going to try and watch his movie tomorrow, Samurai Priest, Vampire Hunter. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in what he was saying about all that. Again, like you said, it's like these, the indie guys. It's like they throw everything at kitchen sink to get something realized. I mean, you just got to you cheer those guys on.
Yeah, I'm a champion of those guys. Spider 27. Do you think there's a chance that Dr. Doom won't be in Fantastic Four? No. I will freely admit if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say right here, no. There's no chance that he's not in that movie. But that's just me.
I think there's a chance that I mean, it's a little bit moot point, like making this analogy with the trailers already out there. But I think there's as much chance of Dr. Doom not being in Fantastic Four as there is of Lex Luthor not being in Superman.
Or John Wick being dead. Yeah. But 100%, since I haven't seen the movie, I could be full of shit. So I reserve the right to be full of shit if I'm wrong. I have my theories about how this movie is going to roll out is different because I think that Galactus is missed. He is a villain. He is a threat in the movie, but I think there's something that's happening to time and space when he's doing those equations. Why are you equating? What is there about Galactus to equate? I think that he knows that there's something happening to his universe, and either he's causing it or Dr. Doom is causing it. And I think Dr. Doom has done this a couple of different times, and we just found a way to track it. And that's what we're going to. I think Dr. Doom is going to be all over this movie. I know Max Chapman said he wasn't, but like I said, it's not his job to tell me the truth at this point. So that's my guess. That is my foil hat theory. All right, yeah, you definitely switched over to the tabletop today, boy. That is. Did you know by law now HBO Max has producing Australian content because in order to operate in Australia, they have to produce a certain percentage. Yeah, that's all over the world.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that specifically, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's all over the world, especially if it's not an English speaking company, it's even a bigger commitment there.
Well, and they do that because I mean it's a jobs, it's a way to it employs local film crews and sends revenue to local businesses for like having like film and TV productions, being localized either in particular countries or particular states or what have you. And George is an example of that, where like we have our tax credit here. I mean, Hollywood. I mean, they they really are. They line up to like come out, film particularly in Atlanta, because we have the tax rebate. Like Marvel, they absolutely love Atlanta. The joke I kind of tell with Marvel is that they film like every MCU movie of the last at least 12 years has at least been partially done in Atlanta. And the kind of the analogy I give is that they film so much in Atlanta that I would venture to guess that most of like the Marvel like regular cast, they probably like own property or have second homes out there, because they're thinking like, okay, I've spent so much time in Atlanta, let's kind of like get some property here so I can have like, this is, I mean, basically like a second home to them. So yeah, that's very common. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
There's our guest last night, Mr. Z. Thank you,
Mr. Z. How's it going, man? Mr. Z. Now, interesting, by the way, because I have a theory about who's behind that mask, and it's like it might relate to this one piece I had go up recently on Combo.com, where it's like I theorize, it might be Henry Cavill who's Ultraman and Superman. So it's like I have to ask Mr. Z, are you Henry Cavill under that mask?
Yeah,
are you do you read my article and come on here? Are you trying to send me like a subtle signal here? It's like, Brad, you were right about that.
YouTube nobody William from the Sci-Fi Center
I think Mr. Z, it's like I think you might be Henry Cavill under there.
Yeah. Okay,
he's denying it.
Let's take a look at our show. Let's take a look at our audience and our following. I am not even a speck on a piece of dust, and yeah, I got Henry Cavill. Sure.
Well, I mean, this could have been a side gig that Henry had back as far as 2017. He never told anybody about. Come on, think about it.
Anthony, when it comes to financials, William, for a movie, is how a movie studio determines a bomb the same way fans. No, because fans don't count anything. We don't get any of this. I don't have an accountant in contact with the organizations that do the counting of the money. I don't have the returns departments who make sure that they get that the studios get their share and their deposits and their we don't have any of that. The studio has all that. The studio and the company, the corporation that owns the studio that has the streaming, they know all that stuff. And especially when it gets picked to PVOD, they're counting that money because it's coming straight to them. So there are so many ways that a studio has to count money and determine the set that we will never know as fans. And I'm okay with that because it's not my ass on the line. So, yeah. You live here with me. I don't even know if I'm Vegas popular. There are some days where I'm like, do I even fucking exist? Let's see. Listen, the fourth is obsessed with porn stars. That's what. Wow. Why does that not surprise me? Okay. We got a few more minutes. Got a few more minutes before I need to eat my food.
Go back here. Aaron says it'll be available worldwide Australian content. Oh, Aaron. And you know who should be making some Australian content for HBO Max? He's a friend of ours. I think we might know him. It's like we might have shown a movie he did on here a while back.
Wow, I wonder who this could be.
Come on, HBO Max. Call it Brent Foster. Come on.
Are you this guy's agent? Did you get a cut of his next movie?
No, I did. Well, I did help debut the trailer for it. So, I mean, it's like I guess you could say I did some kind of press for Life After Brian before it came out.
Don't take this man's suggestions, Mr. Z.
Yeah, I think I asked you a bit about this a while back. Do you ever do any booths or anything at like local cons?
I don't. I need to, but I just don't have the time. I am pretty much I won't say a one-man operation because I do have somebody that works with me, but he's not me. The amount of things that get done, 90% of it's going to get done because of me, and I have my days are limited to. Usually, these things take place on the weekend. In fact, they all take place on the weekend, and then the weekends are where I draw 85% of my revenue, and it's not going to happen if I'm not there. If I put somebody else in my space, that revenue is not being made. So I'm giving up 1 pocket of revenue for another that, you know, that's hit or miss. And then you got the expense of getting a table and all, you know, that. But if I were a neighborhood comic book store, maybe, to where, you know, because most of the people that are coming in town are not going to be coming in for that convention. They're coming in for other things. They're coming in for other things on the weekend. So no, I don't have anybody that has my energy to push my revenue at the store, which where I need to be to the point where I could leave it on a weekend. Weekends are like, you know, literally like my life's blood. So no, that's why I haven't done it. I need to, but I got to have that. Yeah, I need to have that person that literally is me, because especially there are certain tourists that come in, I mean, that are annual tourists that come in that are looking for me by name, and if I'm not there, then, you know, there you go. So. Oops, hold on, wait. As a fan of wrestling, do you believe any of these rumors from the dirt sheets that saying Roman Reigns is going to walk out? No, I don't believe them all. There are certain people who I do believe when it comes down to a certain, you know, certain news, and I haven't heard it from them yet, so no. So I thank you for the $5 super chat. I didn't mean to not thank you, but yeah, I want to, and I really want to do amazing because I do love that convention. But like I said, we're talking a weekend in June. One of the last weekends in June, heading into a 4th of July weekend, some of my busiest times of the year. So yeah. If they can try. Survivor Series, I can see it. Money in the Bank, no. There's just they barely want to put 4 matches on Money in the Bank. But Survivor Series, because they're doing SummerSlam 2 days. I know why they're doing it, because of volume and money. There's just, you know, math is undefeated in there. Content wise, their company's not good enough to give me 2 days of anything. So. Yeah, of course I take credit cards, and I won't hate you. That's what they're there for, you to purchase, Rational. I will do a backflip off the terrace if you come in and do that to me.
And William gets the money either way. It's like, I mean, it's just it's like, okay, he's getting it from the credit card company instead of you. So
yeah, and majority of my transactions are credit card. I rarely see cash. I may get a local every now and then cash, but like I said, the majority of my people are out of towners or out of country people, and especially with foreigners, they, you know, it used to be back where you had to come to the, you know, the currency and change your dollars out to get, you know, to change your paper currency out. But now with debit and credit, you just, you know, you come in, it's international. So yeah, I say for every 10 transactions, 9 of them are credit cards or debit cards or tap. All right, William. What does Brad think about Bloodshot? And have you ever met with Kevin Beck in person? No, and I don't even know if Brad knows who Bloodshot is.
Yeah, that's not the pro wrestling expert of the two of us, unfortunately.
No, Bloodshot's a comic.
Again, okay. So I thought this was
Bloodshot's a comic. It's the one that Vin Diesel played.
Which I have seen the movie, which I thought was all right, but I'm not too familiar with the comic either, unfortunately. So I couldn't really give like I mean, the best opinion I can give you is I saw the Vin Diesel movie like a week before COVID hit. That's about my experience with Bloodshot.
Yeah, Sean Rossap, I'll wait till I hear from him, because he actually has people on the inside. He actually has people who are part of the industry, and he spent 8, 9, 10 years building those relationships. Meltzer's another one that has people on the inside. When you know that they know, because they've put out enough stuff that's like, okay, this guy's, you know, who I at least listen to. So yeah, I would, like, when it came to WrestleMania 42 being here, I knew from them automatically because of the numbers and the financials that WrestleMania 41 did here. For WWE to do what they just did, as far as like switching WrestleMania from New Orleans to here, that tells you how much money. Like Comic-Con, you need to start thinking about that. I'm torn when it comes to something like that, because I need to get the fuck out of 114-degree heat, and I love San Diego. But at the same time, having to basically sell your firstborn to get into some of these things, what's the use? So yeah. But yeah, it's all about the money when it comes to those things. I have everything. I have Apple Pay, I have Venmo, I have Cash App, I have all the QR code. When you walk into my place, I have a bunch of QR codes. I will get the money. Trust me, Anthony. If you come in there wanting to spend, you will spend. There's nothing stopping you. I take gold bullion. I don't get it, but gold teeth. I don't know. No, unless they're gonna do an old Firestar. She's pushing 60. Yeah, it's listen, guys, and that's Los Angeles County, Los Angeles, Greater Los Angeles area. That's my home, but you can only grow so much in places that are already fixed. As far you cannot get a bigger area for the San Diego Convention Center. You can't. But if you want to expand something in Vegas, dude, the Las Vegas Convention Center is literally the Death Star. This thing is huge, and it's not even done. Right now, as we sit here, they could fit 3 San Diego Convention Centers. And we did this on one of our shows. We actually showed you I had an inlay. I had the inlay of San Diego Convention Center inside of Las Vegas Convention Center, and you could literally take three of those and put them inside there. And that's without the North Hall being complete, because they got an even bigger hall that they're building right now, because I see it every day when I go into the store. So you figure 100 some odd thousand people is all they can fit in San Diego Comic-Con without cutting it off and making it impossible to get in Hall H. You could fit 250,000 easily and keep going. And as far as Hall H, dude, they got a wing. They got a small little ring that has 12,000 seats that can expand into 20 for major presentations. So sleeping outside for Hall H, that shit wouldn't even have to happen. And if they needed to, they put it at the Westgate. There's a spot in the Westgate, and we were there for Star Trek. That's 3 times the size of Hall H. So it's, you put this thing on, and half the people can't go to it. William, I don't know how many people dressed up on a space suit on the cover of local. Yeah, I have my moments. I've had my moments, but by comparison, I'm not like like Nachby or one of these guys on a billboard. I mean, you probably could recognize me, but mainly because I'm a weirdo and I'm hard to miss. But as far as popularity goes, I don't know. I kind of enjoy my own. The issue with SEC is that it's so expensive to stay there. Yeah, because they have Hotel Geddon. I'm like, dude, I'll go to a hostel. I trust Mike Johnson over both them because they don't know anybody inside WD or TNA. They just know people inside of AEW. Yeah, I mean, but somebody's giving off this information though. So I might go to New York Comic-Con dressed as me. That might not be a good idea, Larry. I find it really hard to get up in the morning and dress like me, and I'm me. So, but let me shoot me that costume. Well, LA is expensive, but movies are expensive. But I don't know if I know that they're trying to get this thing down here to the studio in Summerlin. It keeps falling through. I would prefer to go to Vegas instead of San Diego. San Diego's nice, but the downtown is real tight. Hotels are expensive. Yeah, that's another thing when it comes to you're never going to run out of hotel space here. New Year's Eve, dude, we put 500,000 extra people in this town. There's a place for them. Super Bowl, anything. It's WrestleMania. That's another thing about WrestleMania is, there were people that were gouging as you got closer to Allegiant, but there's plenty. There are plenty of places that you don't have to. If you're willing to not be on the strip, you could do real well in a hotel. You can go to Summerlin. You can go to Hendertucky. You can go somewhere. You can go to fucking South Point. There are places where, yeah, the rates might jump a little bit, obviously, yeah, but they're not going to be like San Diego. They fucking quadruple those rates, man. And you got to fight and stab somebody to get into a hotel if you want to stay down there. Vegas, nope, not at all. I don't trust Dave that much anymore. He's so far on ATA. I disagree with that. I think he counters the unfairness that a lot of people try to throw at EW. He throws facts and numbers at you that you really can't refute. I think they would in a heartbeat. Stars love coming to Vegas. They love coming to Vegas. There's a lot to do here. And Vegas, this is another thing that I'm happy about WrestleMania coming here. Sorry, New Orleans. But there's a lot of add-on things that you could affiliate yourself with because there's so much space to do it with. Shit, just the fucking dispensaries alone. Have you been to Planet 13? Have you been, dude? There's so much stuff to do that a star can make a killing extra money out of here. So I think they'd be all right with it. I need to get the Mass Undefeated shirt made. I need to get the Just Get Me the Lantern shirt made. There's a whole bunch of shirts I need to get made.
You also need
Chuck, I think OKC's in trouble. They got the next 2 games. They better win game 3. I think they're done. If Indiana wins game 3, I think they win the series. Whoever wins game 3, I think now if OKC comes out there and wins game 3 in any fashion, it don't need to be a blowout. One point doesn't matter. Then I think they can regather themselves. Indiana got the game that they needed, so they probably let their foot off the table, off the gas. But now they're going into Indiana to play 2 games. If Indiana wins game 3, I think they win the series. I think OKC is in trouble until I see otherwise. What were you about to say, Brad? I'm sorry.
It's something for like other shirts you want to make. You still got to get the one that says like it's stupid and lazy had a baby, and I'm sanitizing that. Then reboot would be the offspring or whatever. Like the quote you go.
If stupid and lazy fucked, reboot would be the love child. Yeah. I'd have to probably change out some words there, but yeah, that's the basic premise. William also barters only if you're bartering with public. Yeah, and hey, listen, with that Galactus bucket being $80, I don't think I'm going to have to be fighting as many people as I had to. I might just be able to walk up and plop it down. I hate navigating downtown San Diego. Oh shit, the streets moment. Yeah, especially once you get into that one street, that little village part. Once you go over to the tracks, holy fuck, is it hard to move in that thing just to get back to where you want to get back to. And like I said, I told you guys the year before last. I don't think I know you weren't with us when we went in 2023. Listen, I am 6'2", about 255. I'm moving you out of my way. You're gonna have to be bigger than that. Because when everybody starts to crowd and then things just not moving, I'm like, what are we doing here? Why is everybody stopping? And then they're screaming at you on the street. Please don't stop. Keep going. If you need to stop, step to the side. And these people are like, oh, we're in San Diego. Oh, my gosh. And I know it's a beautiful city, and I understand. But there's a Starbucks over there. I haven't slept in 36 hours. I need you to get the fuck out of the way, or I need to move you out of the way. It's nothing personal. And they're just a shoving, and downtown is so packed, and you got the traffic going this way, and the streets aren't big enough. So yeah, I understand that, especially as you get closer to Con. As you get further and further away, it thins out. You get to the ocean, it thins out. But right there at the convention center, oh yeah, and people just don't want to move. And then they got their cosplay, and you got to duck because somebody's just as a fucking lobster or something. You got to move out of the way of the pincer, or somebody was just as Hela from Thor. And she had the full headgear. And I'm walking behind this chick, and I'm like, if she turns around, I'm fucked. Because I can't even move my head back because I'm just so many people. And I just kept on telling her, hey, I'm right behind you. So somebody calls your name, just, because she had the shit out here. It's a full headgear. And I'm like, ooh, I'm about to lose an eye. So, yeah, navigating. But, yeah, like I said, man, when you get down to San, there's just something magical that happens down to you. William, you got to start using the Sci-Father more. That sounds weird. That sounds like that sounds weird. Like I'm like one of them crazy priests doing the crazy stuff. I don't know. I like Geek Daddy. Put that on a t-shirt. and have like the instead of the Godfather's hand, have my hands, have my gargantuan hands with the strings with all the science fiction IPs. Yeah, they didn't pass it. And listen, dude, that somebody needs. Listen, I need somebody to fix the voting because that needs to happen. Yeah, Vegas has plenty of hotel. Hey, some of them are going to be the nicest ones, but if you just want to play a place to stay, you know what? There are some sleazy ones out there, but you know what? Take your shit with you. You're not going to be there. You're just going to be there to sleep. You know, you're going to be there to sleep. And that's mainly when I've gone to the Comic-Con the last few years. We've been broadcasting. As soon as I got done with Comic-Con, I got somewhere where I could broadcast. And that Saturday was hard because I had to go get my shit out of the place that I had to move out of to get into the hotel room, by the way, which is really nice. I want to get something like that this year, but without going through what I went through because we didn't. So yeah, I mean, you're hardly sleeping. Time. It sounds like it's, you know, when for somebody like me, we're doing content. I'm trying to pick up merchandise. I'm getting cards and I'm handing out cards. Even when Comic-Con is around 6:30, 7 o'clock, so you're done. So we're going straight. I'm getting something to eat. We're streaming. We know our streams go a couple hours. So and then you're tired, and then it's time to sleep. And then you got to get up super early the next day if you want to get a wristband like, you know, Todd McFarlane or by the way, Scott Campbell's going to be here in Vegas in a couple of weeks, so I don't have to bring my stuff to him. He has one of the nicest booths. But yeah, it's exhausting. After I get back from Comic-Con, I'm exhausted. And then Star Trek conventions the next week, and I covered that. Yeah, that's the big old mystery thing that was glowing. Everybody was trying to figure out what it is. Mr. Beast has a lot of followers and a lot of money. It's an Inferno month, but they will make sure, if they were ever to move Comic-Con here, they will make sure that your ass does not have to step outside for anything. And if once you enter the convention center, dude, if you get lost, you ain't coming out anyway. That place is massive. We were there for the Amazing Comic-Con in one of their smaller ballrooms, and it was big. I got pictures from it. It was big, and they've added on. Like I said, it's like seeing the Death Star and then seeing Empire or Return of the Jedi and seeing the really big Death Star. It's not even done yet. That's the Las Vegas Convention Center. I don't know. I have no idea, Anthony, who Denzel would be playing in Black Panther. Oh, you need that shirt? Yeah, I should start wearing. I should start diversifying from the lightning bolt. I had somebody come into the store yesterday. He's like, "Hey, man, you're still wearing that same shirt, are you?" I think he was being joking, and I'm like, and then I opened up the drawer I have at the office at the store, and I just pulled out a stack of them. I'm like, no, it's not the same shirt. For those of you wondering, no, I have like 20 of these. Some of them, the original ones, glow in the dark. So when you turn the light out for the original promotion, the light this glows in the dark. So when we did Shazam back in 2019, we had them turn off the lights and we took a group picture and we all had the lightning bolts on there. It's kind of cool, but no. Yeah, maybe I'll start wearing different shirts. There's your first clue. No, I'm just kidding. What do you got here? Let's look. I answered some of your questions, Chappie. What are you talking about?
I think this might be one he's referring to. Do you think Richard Donner should have been fired from Superman 2 just because he badmouthed the Salkind producers, but the relationship could have been solved?
Generally, when you badmouth your bosses, they fire you.
Yeah, that's
that's okay. Generally, I mean, if I was working for somebody, I came in and said, hey, you know what, I think you're a piece of shit. Guessing I'm going to get fired. And if I'm causing problems and it's not, and if I, as the person, the boss, the producer, feels like we're jamming up things, then yeah, I mean, I think that relationship was much more complicated than a lot of people let on because they did want to do business with each other later on. Richard Donner is still rest in peace, is still a huge name, and yeah, generally when you the boss is the boss, and if you don't like the way the boss is doing something, you can get another job or you can walk out, you can quit. I mean, but yeah, I mean, generally anytime you badmouth your boss like that, or you get fired. Yeah, we're not doing this stupid shit this year. I'm gonna make sure before I go on air, there's fucking nothing behind me. We're in June of 2025. Of course, the fourth fucking 1000. We're still talking about pants that were hanging on a bathroom door. Hey, don't come in here with that gamer shit. The hell, you guys and your Switch nerds fill up all night playing Switch. Everybody doing live streams. I'm like, oh, I think I'm never gonna sleep again, and then you find out that they didn't. Like, what the hell? Nah. Aria, how you doing? Yeah, but July inside Vegas is not hell. we got air conditioners. Another one of my inventions I invented just for Vegas. Air conditioning. And like I said, once you go in, the only time you're outside is if you're going to go into your hotel room. And most people who are in Vegas, the nightlife, you hang out at night. You don't really do anything in the daytime. Yep, he's been into. Have you now, Clint? Have you been in it since it's grown? I'm not buying them this week. Are you? Brad, are you buying any Superman tickets this week?
All right, this week? No, I'll probably just get them through my AMC membership when the time comes next month.
Yeah, and I'm renting a theater, so
because one thing too, it's like stuff never sells out in Savannah. Movies like there. I mean, Endgame obviously got a huge turnout. No Way Home did, but I mean, Pooler is right next to it's like a few miles down the road for us. I go to the theaters some there times there too. It's like I've seen packed parking lots here. I've seen standing room only shows. I don't think I've ever, except maybe one or two times, like over the. There are very, very few instances where I live where the stuff will actually sell out. So
yeah, and there's so many theaters out here, and plus, like I said, I got Galaxy theaters, and we're gonna rent out theaters. So I'm probably even gonna go to the fan event. I'm probably just gonna wait till we see it that night, which I'm fine with. I have a Flash logo, sure. I wore it on once, but no, this is Shazam. I still get people, and this is why Walter Amato, you guys. This is why, as much as I loved, and I know Crazy Joe is always mad when I say I can't stand when he says the movie should never have been made. I hate that. I'm like, fucking Shazam should have never been made. I love Shazam, but you spent money on an IP that's not going to drive people to the theater when you were bleeding money. So, and I love Shazam. And I get people coming, hey, it's a cool Flash shirt. That's right there. It tells you that you probably didn't need to be making a sequel to that movie. But hey. No, the Donner cut wasn't necessary. The Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League was. So I'll just that's as plain as I can put it, in my opinion. I doubt it, but I don't know. I doubt it. Onslaught was a horrible character, by the way. I'm sorry, that was 90s Marvel. That was late 90s Marvel. That was Desperation Marvel. The build up to Onslaught was cool, but once you found out what he was, he just became too powerful and they got rid of him. It's kind of like, what the fuck is that? Oh, jeez, shut up. I'm 15 hours in and it just arrived last night. Wow. So Ray, you're going to be looking like you did when you were doing your interview last year, when me and you both had bloodshot eyes and just sort of like being propped up by caffeine. So yeah, that's what the Switch thing is going to do for you. Yes, please hit the like and subscribe button. Yay!
Thunder out there, I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, you're in the south. Yeah, sorry.
And we get heat lighting here.
Oh, that sounds like a weapon. That sounds like some dangerous shit.
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, heat light. Well, I'm surprised they don't get in Vegas.
We get to monsoon, but lately it hasn't happened.
Chappie. Oh, Chap. We'll go ahead and read that.
Yeah, but William, because the saw kinds producers thought about making Superman more jokey and more of a Looney Tunes cartoon, and Richard Donner wanted more serious. But you got to realize the time that they were doing it in. I mean, I don't know who I would have agreed with, but I know the 80s were different than now. and it was their money, it was their production, it was their ass on the line. So it was whatever they wanted to do. So
yeah, Chappie, this is the pot calling the kettle black, dude. I'm sorry, but it is. I think William froze there.
I was watching a little perp show, and I think Crazy Joe was on there, and he said some shit like that. He's like, I will freely say, there are movies I think should never be made. And you get fans that say, well, how can you say that? I don't agree. I don't give a fuck. And here's why. It's one thing we're not on the hook. Whether we like a movie, we're not on the hook. And when you make bad decisions and put movies out, other movies don't get made. If you're a struggling film company and you blew your wad on some bullshit, guess what doesn't get made? Probably one that would have done well, maybe. When you blow, these resources aren't finite. And your lenders are like, you made that when you could have made this. I don't know if we want to have this meeting right now. So yeah, it affects things. It now once it comes out, and whether we look at it and like it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. But that doesn't validate the decision making. That's why, for people who think Warner Brothers should have made certain movies, that's why David Zaslav, Dr. Pimple Popper guy, was able to purchase them, because they did too many stupid things that they should not have done, and it hurt them. So, yeah, here you go. I'm just skipping. What's going on with the funding? Is this a metaphor for something else, Clint? Am I missing something? I'm sorry. Black Adam would not have and should have never. Well, Black Adam, he's a Z-lister. He's basically a Z-lister villain to a V-lister, basically. So yeah, I agree there. Yeah, the Geek Daddy. Ooh. Yeah, but that road to Shazam was not what they were doing in 2015 when they unveiled all that stuff that they were going to do. All that stuff was to be complementary and accent the main listers that they had. They were making movies like Shazam and anything else that they had in the atmosphere that included Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, etc., etc., etc. Under no circumstances was Shazam meant to be a replacement hero for Superman, which is what he ended up being. You weren't in 2015. You weren't declaring that you were going to replace the A-listers with these Z-listers and have the company riding on what their movies that they did. They were being announced, yeah, but they were being announced with the thought in mind that while those little movies like this are coming out, we're producing Supermans and Batmans and Justice Leagues the right way. So yeah. Did anyone see the Super Junior novel? I guess it didn't add much to what we already know. I have not. I've heard about it. What is Chappie talking about? What? Oh, you guys are talking about Crazy Joe and Justice League. He actually likes that movie. To each his own. You know what? At his defense, there's a lot of people who will never come over to our side and never associate with us because they have no way in. And you know what? I get customers in all the time that have not seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, but they know of it because they saw the 2027 or 2017. It's not out there for Brad. Brad's opinion, in my opinion, about
the year of our Lord 2025.
Yeah,
that even one person, their first experience with that movie is with that version.
Well, they're not obsessed with it like we are. Our opinion about it is not relevant.
But it doesn't hurt any less.
If somebody walks in and they see my Superman stand up and they start talking about 2017, guess what I'm going to do? Guess what anybody who favors that movie should be doing? But you will never get that chance in most cases.
But it's like going to a restaurant. It's like saying, okay, what do you want as your is the first the thing on the menus. Do you want the filet mignon or the plate of dog
Yeah,
shit?
but you're not a good analogy because you have them in the restaurant. You have them in the restaurant with the alternative. They may never meet you. They may never come to your restaurant. So your only link to them is something. That's your only conversation starter. Don't look at it as a bad way. Just use that as a way to say, you know what? As much as you like this movie, hey, let me show you something, and then you go from there.
Shit first.
You can't control that, and it's not relevant to what they see first because they're not us. Fun and tasty while flying. Okay, you're getting high.
I have to stop them.
No, but that's the wrong attitude. They've already seen it. You're not going to stop them from seeing it. It's everywhere. Well, all you can do if you want to grow our brotherhood is show them the right way. That's all you need to do.
Whatever my call, it's like no, the network showing it. They're showing the real version.
Well,
doing away with that.
They're getting paid millions unless you can counter the millions they get for showing it. William Black Adam was originally supposed to be the villain of the Suicide Squad sequel. His secret weapon being transformed. That's fine, but and that makes sense with how his movies rolled out. But by the time Black Adam came out, nothing should have been riding on Black Adam, and that was never the plan. Even though that was all, you have all that original stuff in there. We're still doing Batman. We're still doing BVS. We're still doing Justice League. These little things were in they were like the minnows in the midst of the shark. So that's fine. They've been trying to get that movie out forever. Just like The Flash was not supposed to be. Because I understand what you're saying, Rational, but that wasn't the plan. He was there, but none of these situations that were brought in like this were meant to be what they ended up being. That's the problem. Back in the day. Yeah, that was back. They would have never won that lawsuit today, by the way. They would have never won that lawsuit today, but they won it back in the 30s and 40s because they basically sued Fawcett Comics for copyright infringement because they said, this guy's just like Superman, which was bullshit. That just shows you that DC had better lawyers. DC was they were a bigger company at the time. As far as that goes, that was bullshit. Superman, at that point, you had a guy who's based on magic. So you're basically saying anyone with a cape and a logo on their chest was a ripoff of Superman. That's too vague. I'm like I said, today that lawsuit would have gotten thrown out in court. But back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, they were able to do it. And Fawcett didn't have the resources to fight them. They eventually ended up selling. So. I guess I've been on the same screen as Joe when we used to do Poindexter Lawn. I mean, I like the guy. I just don't agree with him.
He was in the chat a little bit when I was on with Perp the first time.
Let's see. Yeah, I have not read this junior novel. I know almost nothing about it, so sorry, guys.
Well, here's apparently some information about it. Thank you for the super chat, Larry. William, according to the junior novel, Metallo already exists in the DCU. Are you planning on getting any of the Trinity gold or silver coins?
If they are available to me. But I'm going to grab up anything. I'm mainly going to focus on crypto. So yeah, not crypto coin, by the way. Crypto, the dog. I'll try though. Like right now, the merchandising schedule is just not good as far as a little guy like me getting what I can sell. I don't want a bunch of Ultraman figures hanging out if they're not selling. I want a bunch of crypto figures. So, but thank you for the $5 super chat. Yeah, I don't dislike Joe. I like Joe. It's just that his most of what he says. I mean, he says some stuff every now and then I agree with. I listen to him, point by point, but I think Joe's fine. We just don't agree on a lot. But then again, Joe doesn't agree with a lot of people on a lot of things. I mean, I could disagree with him and not dislike him, so it's not that. William, do you stockpile your Darby? Oh yes. As a matter of fact, funny you should say that, right? Because I think William is due for a free one. Yes, he is. It's really bright. You guys can't see that. Wow, dude, that light really does a job on that camera. But yeah, I have a free one. You can't see it, but it's got my free one. The bastards, it used to be 150. You got a free one. Then they raised it to 200. It's like, it still doesn't stop me. Yes, I do, Ray. In fact, I built up a lot of points down in San Diego. I'm planning on doing it again. Let me think about that for a second. No, if you're talking about amazing, I don't think so. It's too hot. I'll hire somebody else to do it. Tuesday allegedly is the ticket pre-order date for Subs. Yeah, June 11th. Yeah. Or is that June 11th? Yeah. Pretty short reviews, Amazon early screening. Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look at the Amazon early screening, but I think I just might hold out on that and just see it, because there's no way you can spoil it for me. I mean, there's nothing in it that I'm going to be, oh man, you ruined it for me. Now I'm going to stay home. So I'll take a look at it, but I'd probably, since we're renting the theater, I'm probably just going to hold on my horses for that. All right. Somebody just messaged me. Okay. Keep me posted. Batgirl was also going to be in Ben Affleck's Batman film. It was going to take place around Gotham and Arkham Asylum. Yeah, but you see how that kind of transformed into something else, Rational? I mean, I could see it happening under the management that came up with those concepts, but with the ones that took over, everything flipped. Once you had bad management come into power, it didn't matter what they had planned prior. What it turned into is, unfortunately, what it gets remembered for. The only benefit I can see of the early screenings is a huge boost of traffic that you'll get to your channel. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I am going to stream from the theater the night of, though. But yeah, that's true. I could, like I said, I'll take a look at it. If there's seats, I'll grab one. I might even grab some and give them away. But like I said, with the fact that I'm renting, yeah, you're all right though. The content, the content producer of me will benefit from that for sure. Let's see. William Moons are circulating that John Hamm would play Two-Face in Affleck's Batman. It'd be a good choice. Kind of tired of seeing Two-Face though. All right. I think that's where we're gonna probably wrap it up right now. Well, that would suck to give him a spoiler on like fucking July 7th. That'd be messed up. The night of, yeah. I mean, because like I said, we're gonna. I'm partnering with some people. We're gonna do some special things for that. I'm gonna just have as much fun. I need to do.
Hey Max, how's it going?
Hey Max, listen. Hold on. Bring that back up. Who the fuck cares? No, I'm just kidding. Hey, how you doing, Max? How you doing, Max? You got back from the lake? Damn, it's like, aren't you on East Coast time? Dude, it's like, oh yeah, I guess it's hot. It's what kind of weather? He's out in the mid. I think he's in Pennsylvania or something. I don't know.
Wow, there,
yeah. July 8th, whatever it is. I might just for the hell of it. But I am, like I said, that means I'll see it twice within 4 days because I'm going to see it on the 10th. Max is doing a drive-by. Oh, there was a bad storm. Okay, so that entire central part of the United States, from north to south, is having some issues. So yeah, I'll I guess Tuesday I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it to see what I can get into. I mean, I will probably see this movie at least twice if I do that. If I do a fan screening, if I go to the fan screening, but I'm definitely going to see it on. We're negotiating the number right now for July 10th, the afternoon, to see it get it out of the system. Because like I said, even if I do, most people are going to see it on July 10th or 11th, and I just want to get the vomit out of the system from the shitheads that are going to ruin the conversation. I want them to get their spiel out so I can identify the type of people who I can have a conversation with, and then we talk for a couple of days, and then it's on to I see by the following, by end of second week, I'm talking almost exclusively Fantastic Four. Look who's here, Bill.
What do you about Rev?
All right, so Max, I'm promoting my upcoming Justice Fan versus Snyder Bro debate with Joe. Oh wow, that just hurt my ears just knowing that that's going to be happening. I will be nowhere near that, and that hurts my ears knowing that debate is going to be happening. Brad, you need to find your way into that.
Why do I need to find my way into that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's like our. It's pretty clear.
I want to see your eyes shoot out of your head while you're trying to make a point. It's hilarious. Paul at Sci-Fi Center. I saw a classic horror movie today called The Old Dark House with Boris Karloff and Charles Lawton. Yes, I have. I have it. I have it on VHS. Wow. I carry. So when you say indie, I'm assuming everything that's not DC and Marvel, because I actually still consider Image, even though Image is big, I consider Image at indie, and they write books. So I carry Image, I carry Boom Studios, I carry Dynamite, I try to carry just as many as possible. I'm adding more to it's a little bit more of a risk for me because the attraction for an indie is not as big as the attraction for the mainline comics for my tourist. But as we grow the local market does like some of the indie stuff. We've even, I'll even be carrying people who are local artists and, that are getting their book distributed. We start carrying those on the shelf too. But yeah, those are the ones. Boom Studios, Dark Horse, Titan's a big one for me. I just if you look at my Instagram page, I just promoted Heat Seeker, which is another indie from them. So yeah, those are the ones I carry. And then anyone that I think that I start to hear about, I start to hear rumblings about in other markets where maybe I'll give this a chance. It may be something I never heard of. I'll just pick it up from the supplier and I'll try that. But those are the main ones up, Paul. All right, so Belle got the Supergun tickets. She hated Snyder Vance. Yeah, we started around 10:30, 10:38. We've had some good puns in the chat. Remember Gun Job? Nah, that sounds weird. It's just, that sounds weirder than I actually am. So. Yeah, you should win the river dance. Yeah. Hey man, I was at a theater where black folks were river dancing, and I'm like, wow, this is the movie. This is the movie. They got black folks up here doing the river dance, not very well because they just saw it on the screen. But like I said, Remick had black folks from a blues club doing the river dance with him. That's when you got the magnetic personality. I do not play video games. Brad?
Yeah, I'm not really a Mario Kart guy though, so I'm not. Yeah, I can't. Not really my area of expertise, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time for video games. So. Let's see. Nah, I thought the vampire stuff from Sinners was well played. So that's just You need to know about that native vampire hunter crew. Yeah. If I ever got involved in video games, the show would stop airing unless I was me gaining 400 pounds, eating horrible food, and playing video games. That's all it would be. The store would shut down. Everything, all my obligations, because once I get in, I stay in, and I don't like to lose. I don't like to disengage. And now we got networking shit I didn't have as a kid. Thank God I did not have these type of video games when I was younger, because I would have never left them. I would have just stayed home, and I would have never built anything. I'm outside of your guys' conversation. What are you talking about? Annie and some group. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Rational, but they went from being support characters in support movies, because Shazam is not a major character. They went from being support characters in support movies to being the movies, to being what those guys had as their draw. I'm not disputing that was the original plan, but the original plan did not involve them being on their own. The original plan wasn't the only movies coming out, or Harley Quinn and Black Adam in these movies without Superman, without Batman, without Justice League. Yes, they had these plans years ago, and it was always the original plan, but the plan to have them out there as support characters is how they were brought in. Not by the time we got around to these movies, they had isolated and screwed up the original characters to where that plan, there was not enough there to support those B-listers. Had they handled their A-listers properly in the years leading into Black Adam and Fantabulous bullshit movie and all this other stuff that they did, they would have been in a lot better spot, because as Marvel has shown you, they will digest your small movies because they trusted you with the big ones, and you came through. DC didn't have any credibility by that point. Even if this was the original plan, the overall DCU was not them being relied on like they ended up being, and that's why those movies didn't do too well. I didn't understand Remy's motive to capture Sammy, like he wanted to be united. Okay, Sammy's music had an ability to open up portals and open up connections to other realities. Remember this scene where he's playing in the club, and you look and you see all those DJs from all throughout time. His ability and his guitar, combined with his guitar, allowed him to open up other past, present, and future. Remy's people were in the past, so he was hoping to make that kind of connection with them. And if you look at the beginning of the movie where Remy is being chased by the Indians, he's being chased by them most likely because he tried to do the same thing with them. Every group of people has their musical person, and he probably tried to infiltrate and get the Native American version of what Sammy would have been. But they were wise to him. They figured him out, and then they were able to expel him out and chase him. That's why when he runs up on those clan members, the native tribe knows what he is, and the sun's about to fall, so they leave, but they know what he is. So now he's looking. Sammy's music, he can trace that kind of magical music that can open up the realities, and that's how he found Sammy. He sensed his music, so that's why. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because the way he spoke, he could have been easily that one. Well, like I said, Sammy, he was willing to. I don't know if he would have kept his word, but I think if he'd have got Sammy, I think Sammy's what that's who he came for. So
yeah, so we gotta play. We need him. They'll let's see a prequel to Remick.
Maybe, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well,
yeah, that was they would definitely killed him because Remick definitely wasn't a racist. He was accepting not enough characters to explain that. I was thinking you are just helping me explain the Lord to me. No, that was just that's basically what he said. Basically what he said. He's who I came for. Your music, I sensed your music, and that's like I said. Remick has probably been hopping around to different types of people and finding their magical music person to try to do the same thing that, because if he turns them, then he can control them, and then he can be with his people again. Uh, 2017 ruined the reputation of Cavill Superman and Ben's Batman. So WVB, yeah. Well, they panicked because we're not going to go into that tonight. But yeah, that's a year's worth of streams if we ever wanted to revisit that. Yeah, I mean, I thought that movie had just enough vampirism in it. He said that. He said, J. Kugler said the vampires are an analogous to the record industry exploiting black musicians. I think it works for the story, though. I don't. Congratulations to all those people. I don't get a chance to go to enough plays. Yeah, I don't get a chance to go. I'm not going to Broadway anytime soon. So I don't even watch the ones that have to do with movies. I watch movies. I don't watch Oscars, which is the equivalent. So, all right, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me this entire week. Welcome to Monday. Hope you all have a good week. We will not be on the air tomorrow unless some shit hits the fan, and I hope it doesn't. But I wanted to commemorate. I should have opened up this, but I did not, simply because I didn't want to bring down a festive mood. But when we entered the show, it was 6/8, 2025. I have to meet you. It was 6/8, 2025. And now, in 6/8, 2018, that night, that morning, we lost Anthony Bourdain. And I just came up in my memories because I had posted about it as soon as I heard it. And if you guys watch the show, you've seen the things we do for American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. But long before we even met each other, Anthony Bourdain, it's been 7 years now. 7 years since Anthony Bourdain committed suicide. And I've always said there's certain ones that hit me in a way that others just don't. I mean, they are all, June 8th, 2018. They all should hit you. I mean, but Anthony Bourdain was one of the people that I was looking for more of. I wish there were more Anthony Bourdains out there. The world needed more Anthony Bourdains, and not less. And the anniversary of his death, it seems like it's been since yesterday. But he died. He died yesterday, 7 years ago yesterday. And I would have never pegged him as somebody that was going through the things that he was going through. And it wasn't like Kurt Cobain. It wasn't like Chris Cornell. It wasn't like where you could listen to their music and be like, damn it, I see it now. There's nothing about Anthony Bourdain that would have given. I don't know what I wasn't around him. I wasn't his spouse. I wasn't his girlfriend. Those people knew probably. But I'm watching his show, Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, show that I struggle to watch now. Man, that guy, he was going places, bringing people together, meeting new people, giving new things, everything that I really wanted to be in life, just to be able to step into something new and make the whole day new again. He was doing it. And I'm like, this guy's living the life. And that was like when it was a jolt 7 years ago yesterday, when I found that out. And it just tells you that. And I think it was either Robin when somebody said that is people put on a happy face to hide, what they're going through. So you may be around somebody who's doing it. You may be around, somebody whose things are good, everything. They're telling you everything is okay, but you're seeing things around them that are not okay. They've lost somebody. They've lost a job, a lifelong job. Something is happening around them. Keep an eye on those people. Keep an eye on those people. It is in human nature to not have anybody worry about you, but keep an eye on those people. Because if the amount of significant things bad happen to you, it's almost impossible for you to be okay, no matter how tough you are. And apparently this was the case with Anthony Bourdain. Like I said, I wish we still had him here. Because if he were still here, he would still be making new friends, showing me new places, showing basically the biggest lesson is that if you take people and sit them down over food, a beer, or anything else and connect with them on that level, you're going to find out more than anything. He hated the internet. He hated what the internet had become by 2018 because, like I always say, you cannot see our giant balls, behind this keyboard because that's the only place they exist. There's a different way that you act and a different respect and dignity and discipline you have when you're sitting down having a meal with somebody. sitting down in a park with somebody, meeting somebody in a bookstore, that random encounter that he would just walk right into. We really, really need a guy like Anthony Bourdain today. For everything that the internet gives us, it makes easier. Anthony Bourdain made better. So continue to rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain. That's it for the show. I will see you guys tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Like I said, let some shit hits the fan. We will not see you tomorrow night. And I will come back Sunday with a topical show, a favorite type show or whatever. What's your favorite so-and-so? I'm running out of topics. So not only do I need you guys to like, subscribe, but I need you to give me some science fiction, horror, fantasy things that we can come up with, maybe music that we can do top 5, top 10 list on, instead of just, open mics are fun. But like I said, got to have some structure. And I think we learn a lot about each other when we're able to do this. So good night, guys.
See you guys.